Good day, card gamers! BryanInno Gaming here. For deck techs and gameplays, please subscribe to my channel. So the first deck that we'll be featuring for Strixhaven Standard is Izzet Dragons. What's there not to love? It's dragons. So the first card in the deck is Frostbite. It's a snow instant for 1, which deals 2 damage to target creature or player, but it's gonna deal 3 damage if you control 3 or more snow permanents. And with all the snow lands that we are running here in this deck, this is gonna be easily a 3 damage burn spell. Next card is we have 1 Negate. By the way, I love the border for the Mystical Archives. Anyway, this 1-off Negate can be a very good counterspell to protect our dragons in the late game. Next, we are running 4 copies of Brazen Borrower, which can be used as a bounce spell or just a creature that we can flash to deal 3 damage in the air. Then we are running 4 copies of Saw It Coming as our counterspell. Remember, the foretell cost of this card is only 2 mana, so if you get to attack with a Goldspan Dragon, even if you tap out, as long as you have that treasure token, you can sacrifice the treasure token for 2 mana because of the Goldspan Dragon's ability, and you can use Saw It Coming. Then we are running 4 copies of Bonecrusher Giant. I think the Stomp ability is actually very useful in Standard right now, not to mention a 4/3 body for 3, which is already pretty good, and it has this ability that when it becomes the target of a spell, it deals 2 damage to that spell's controller. 4 copies of Prismari Command. I really love this card. This is my favorite spell in Strixhaven. So it has 4 modes and you get to choose 2. First mode is to deal 2 damage to any target, which is kinda useful. Then target player draws 2 cards, then discards 2 cards. Then you may also create a treasure token, which in my opinion is the ability that you're going for this deck. These treasure tokens are your way of ramping into your dragons. Then the last ability of this card is to destroy target artifact. And there are pretty good artifacts in the current metagame right now. Then we are running 2 Draconic Intervention. This is a new card again from Strixhaven, which costs 4, and as an additional cost to cast this spell, you exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Draconic Intervention deals X damage to each non-dragon creature, where X is the exiled card's mana value. So mana value is the new term for converted mana cost. If a creature dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead, then you exile Draconic Intervention. So Draconic Intervention is a good way to wipe out the board. You can actually deal a lot of damage on turn 4 for this card, especially if you discard the Magma Opus to create a treasure token, say on turn 2. Then we are running 3 copies of Galazeth Prismari, the Elder Dragon for red-blue. It's a 4 mana 3/4 with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you get to create a treasure token. And artifacts you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast instant or sorcery spells. The next dragon we have is Goldspan Dragon. We are running 4 copies of this dragon because I think this is the best dragon in the current standard metagame right now. So it's 5 mana, 4/4 and flying haste, and when it attacks or becomes the target of a spell, you create a treasure token. Then the ability that we should not forget is that when Goldspan Dragon is in the battlefield, your treasure tokens produce 2 mana instead. So that 2 mana is very useful because we can cast Negate for 2 mana, then we can cast the bounce ability of Brazen Borrower for 2 mana, we can foretell a Saw It Coming for 2 mana, or use Stomp for 2 mana. So with Goldspan Dragon in the battlefield, a single treasure token can be pretty scary. Then we are running 3 copies of Terror of the Peaks, because this is a blue-red Izzet Dragons deck. You guys would probably ask me a million questions if I don't include this card. So this is a very good dragon from M21, where spells your opponents cast to target this card will cost an additional 3 life to cast. So the ability that we're looking at here is the second ability for the Terror of the Peaks, which is Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, this creature deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. So either we cast another Terror of the Peaks or drop Prismari, which is for 3 damage. Goldspan Dragon will deal 4 damage. And the last card, actually, this creates a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. So if we have Terror of the Peaks in play, our Magma Opus can also deal additional 4 damage. So the last card is a mythic from Strixhaven, which is Magma Opus. Yes, I know this card costs a lot, but most of the time we're just gonna be using this card for its treasure token ability. This card has a very powerful effect wherein it deals 4 damage divided any way you choose. You get to tap 2 permanents, then you create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token, and then you draw 2 cards. But again, most of the time you'll just be using the discard ability of this card to create a treasure token. So Magma Opus actually enables a turn 3 Prismari, and since this card enters the battlefield with another treasure token, then you would be able to cast a 5 mana dragon on turn 4. So either you drop a Goldspan Dragon or a Terror of the Peaks. Again, my favorite card to drop on turn 4, or if I'm tapping out, is Goldspan Dragon, because when this attacks, you get to generate a treasure token. Then if you have a treasure token, you'll have enough mana to protect it with your counter spells. So for our mana base, we are running snow-covered islands and snow-covered mountains to basically enable our Frostbite. And we are running 4 copies of Faceless Haven. This is a snow land, so don't forget that this will also count for your Frostbite. And you can pay 3 to make this a 4/3 creature with Vigilance. Then we have 4 copies of Riverglide Pathway. Then we are running 4 copies of the new blue-red dual land in Strixhaven, Frostboil Snarl. The sideboard is pretty much still under construction because we're still in the early parts of the new metagame, but I just included some basic stuff in the sideboard for now. We have 2 copies of Soul Guide Lantern for our graveyard interaction. We have 2 copies of Negate, 3 copies of Fire Prophecy for additional removal, 2 copies of Cinderclasm for wipeouts against mono-red and some white decks, 2 copies of Roiling Vortex, 3 copies of Mystical Dispute, and 1 Soul Sear. So this is our new deck for Strixhaven Standard, Izzet Dragons. Usually it's aggro decks that dominate the new metagame. So a deck with early control and big creatures like this Izzet Dragons deck will really be good in dealing with these aggro decks. I hope you enjoyed our deck tech for today. I will be playtesting this deck and posting the gameplay videos in this channel as well. So please make sure to hit the subscribe button so that you'll get the notification when I do. Thank you very much and have a great day.